Oh, what? No, I already went. No.
I already hit record.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of the Funbalanced podcast. I'm Ian, and this is a podcast of unbalanced conversations, which is usually comes before I say my name. But in this case, it's after. Or maybe I'll switch around in the edit. But now I've talked about it too much, so I can't do that unless I also cut all of this out. So if you're hearing this, I definitely didn't do that. Here with me, as always, are Jay.
What threw him off was John said to go at 21. Which is a nice round number.
Yeah.
I just want to be 6 seconds behind again.
And also John.
Hey. It's a me.
Which I also did in the opposite order of last time.
That was my Chris Pratt impression.
God, I'm so surprised we got through that whole episode last time without it coming up.
That's why I had to mention it.
That was my badass fact for the last episode of Bad Assets, was the fact that I am not the voice of Mario in the Super Mario Brothers movie, which sounds like a thing that I get to brag about, and most people in the world get to brag about that aren't Chris Pratt.
Or the voice actor of Mario.
I do have to...
Right, but he's also not that. So if it's like, he's not getting blamed.
I wonder what that's like, you know, being at that level of public eye, and just everyone ripping on you for just.
Wait, are you wondering what it's like to be Chris Pratt in this situation, or the actual voice of Mario?
In this case, Chris Pratt, but it could be anybody, right? Like, we've seen it time and time again in Hollywood, where someone's cast as something and it's, you know, they don't do what people think is justice for the character.
No, yeah, that's true. That's like, and a lot of times the people are just wrong. Like, I was watching the most recent video, was talking about Batman, the original Batman movie, and Kevin Smith was talking about how everyone was freaking out when they cast Michael Keaton, aka Mr. Mom, for the role of Batman. And then they released the first image of him in the bat suit next to the Batmobile, and everyone shut the fuck up.
That does work.
They're like,
that does
we were
work
wrong.
Sometimes.
And in the course of the Super Mario Brothers movie, you know, everyone's talking about how bad of an idea it was to cast Chris Pratt as Mario, and then they released the trailer, and no one shut the fuck up at all.
And,
yeah, I mean, that confirmed all the
Chris
suspicions.
Pratt's like, well, what the fuck do you expect? I never said I was going to do a voice. I said,
I'm doing the best I can.
The problem with that trailer is, like, the last 10 seconds of that trailer. Like, everything with Jack Black, I was like, oh yeah, this is great. Jack Black as Bowser is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Keegan-Michael Key as Toad was good.
Yeah.
Like, it was fine. And then immediately Chris Pratt comes in, and he's just like, I mean...
Hi, I'm Mario.
I'm going to give it my
Mario. Like, it's a really weird thing, but I don't...
It is me.
I don't think it's Chris's fault. While I don't know if he should have been cast as that character, I think it's more of a casting director fault.
I feel like it's his fault for saying yes.
Well, I don't know that it's definitely Chris Pratt's fault, because he had the opportunity to shut us all the fuck up and didn't do it.
I mean,
right? He could have actually done a Mario voice.
that's true. He could have. But he's going more the I'm not a performing monkey route. Right? He's like, no, I'm not doing what you want.
But he is, and he should be a performing monkey for us.
I'm really like, the casting director didn't go, hey, you have to do a voice for this. Or nobody along the way. Because I haven't heard anything otherwise of him going like, no, I'm not doing a voice. It's just been, hey, Chris Pratt doing it, and then it's just Chris Pratt.
Well, no, the first video of him, not to immediately fact check you, but the first video of him after the announcement was he was like on this like Instagram video or TikTok or whatever, and he's like, "It's a me, Mario." He's like, "No, that's not the real voice. I'm going to do a different one for the actual movie." And that's literally the teaser that he put out, was him saying, "I'm going to do a different voice for the movie." And then
he did.
He technically did.
It's just his fucking voice, but it's different. than the one he did.
He did not say he was going to do a better voice.
Yeah. But the problem is that it's not that Chris Pratt is an actor and not a voice actor, because he did both the Lego movies, and at no point was that ever like, oh, he did a bad performance in those, he's not a voice actor. Like in those movies it was fine, like he was playing not an established character, obviously, and that was kind of the point. But yeah, this time established character, maybe you bring some, you know what I mean, like do a little bit.
I've seen a lot of people post like nobody wants to listen to the actual voice actor do the Mario voice for an hour and a half, and I wildly disagree. I think that's such a huge disservice. Like,
have you ever played a Mario game?
But
he's making noises all the time.
But yeah, and thinking that this person that's been a voice actor for a very, very long time doesn't have any range at all and couldn't like subtly alter Mario's voice enough to make it like not awful.
Yeah.
It is a weird choice though. I definitely won't argue there. Like I think that
what I said is like, can we do a Sonic
right.
on it? Like, can we get Ugly Sonic up in here and be like, can we get this changed?
If we get Ugly Sonic on our side, telling people that it needs to be changed, that's the nail in the coffin, right? Yeah.
That's all we need.
I'm still really excited for the movie though. Like to see Jack Black's performance and just like what it looks like and where they're going.
I thought you were going to say what the plot is. And I was like, if we're surprised by the plot, I will be amazed.
Listen, I guarantee 100% you wouldn't have guessed the plot of the first Super Mario Brothers movie.
Good point.
Oh, no, I did. I had a fever dream one time that was identical.
Oh, man. Go.
Down to John Leguizamo.
I mean, all in all, great actors right there, right? But what the fuck is happening with that movie? It's so weird. Like that,
I mean, we haven't gotten better. We're making this movie, and people think it's a good idea.
Yeah. It's just the same terrible decisions from different departments.
Yeah. Oh, who was it? Fuck, I was about to say Ed Helms. This definitely wasn't Ed Helms that was in the original Super Mario Bros. Movie.
That would be funny if he voiced Mario, though.
Was it Ed Harris? Is that his name? The guy who was King Koopa?
Yes,
I believe so.
He was very famous for one of the interviews that he did, which was talking about his son. When his son got older and had seen the movie, was like, why in the world did you do a Super Mario Brothers movie? Like, why did you agree to this? And Ed Harris was like, well, you needed shoes. And his son's response was, not that bad.
No, I mean, that's exactly what Chris Pratt is thinking. He's like, you're going to offer me how much? And I can just do whatever I want. Yeah, I'll do it. I mean, it's like a no-brainer for him, right? There's nobody telling him he has to do this specific voice or anything like that. I mean, obviously.
Here's the problem, is that he's also going to be Garfield. Like, this doesn't end with Mario.
Why are these two things related?
What do you mean? Chris Pratt is also going to be doing the voice of Garfield in the new Garfield movie. So however tired we are of hearing Chris Pratt's voice doing a character, we're not done with this for at least another year after this fucking movie comes out. Also, I wonder if that Garfield movie is directed by Joel Cohen. I gotta look it up.
God, I hope so. Why did you have to make me sad and tell me that?
Just right at the start. Listen, we were going to start off real strong, and then we started off with this instead.
Well, let's go back. Let's
rewind.
What do we got?
To happier times.
Well, so we were talking about, before we started recording, when we had to be like, okay, now we have to shut up and start this recording. I was talking about, John was mentioning me doing the one chip challenge and just dying immediately because that's what would happen. Because as my history of spicy food is not good, I'm not a person that likes spicy food. in general, but for a very long time, I just assumed that was just like, oh, well, I'm just a white person who can't handle spice, right? Like,
Fair.
there, that's there's the reason. But it turns out that's not the case. I mean, it is technically the case, but like I have almost no tolerance for spicy food, and the reason is because I've had apparently this syndrome. I don't know what it's called. It's the syndrome that I've had since apparently I was about 15, that has just made me not want to eat spicy food ever, and so my tolerance for it has just gone down over what is that, 17 years or whatever, 18 years. And so my tolerance is now basically zero, because when I was younger, I used to eat spicy food when I used to do anything, which was like, hey, taste this, eat this thing, it's going to be gross or it's going to be hot, and it never really bothered me. And then all of a sudden it did, and I never really put two and two together. Well, when I have this thing called apparently phrase syndrome, which is any time that you have like a botched surgery on salivary glands, which I did when I was like 15, it can cause this thing called phrase syndrome. And so when I was like 14, 15, I developed what was called a salivary stone.
I believe it was called a wet boy mouth.
Wet teenage boy mouth.
I had wet mouth all the
bad,
time.
Bad case of wet mouth.
But no, so salivary stones you can get if you drink a lot of pop or soda or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Coke, apparently.
Yeah, you have to call it
Let's
Coke.
put a pin in that.
Damn it. And which I was, right? Like it was every weekend we'd be like, hey, let's get at least 24 packs of Mountain Dew, and then let's have those be gone after 2 days. So I was drinking a lot of pop, and my salivary gland in my neck just would swell up and hurt, and I'd be like, that's not good. And what it turns out is that like when you drink too much soda, you will get these things called salivary stones, which will form where your salivary glands like go into where your mouth is, right? And just block it up. So basically it put a cork in my salivary gland, so anytime I would try and salivate, it would just swell up.
And if there's one thing I know about you, it's that you love to salivate.
Too. I love that wet mouth. But no, so went to the doctor and got like antibiotics on it for like the first time it happened. And this is where I get to tell kind of a gross story, which is great because it's going to lead into another gross story. So buckle up. So the first time when I had the antibiotics, it was just like, well, the stone itself is just going to like, once you take the antibiotics, the swelling will go down and the stone will like dislodge itself. And I was like, cool, I'll just wait for that to happen. So I took the antibiotics, and then I was about to leave for somewhere. I don't remember where we were going, but I remember I was like, oh, I'm just going to go to the bathroom real quick. And then I looked, and underneath my tongue was where the stone was, the salivary gland that had been blocked by the salivary stone. And it like, I remember like, I don't know, swishing something around in my mouth, and then just it came out, and then immediately my mouth was filled with pus. Oh my god. So John just sent a video, which I don't think we're going to have in our video version of this, of a salivary stone being removed. But yeah, they're basically like white pebbles that get stuck in your salivary gland.
Oh god, I'm watching it.
It's like an every 2 episode thing now. Oh, cool.
And so, it's age restricted. Whoops. Well, that's fine. I have to go to YouTube to watch it, so I'm not going to do that.
It popped out. It popped out.
Yeah, and there's usually a lot of stuff that comes with it when it does.
Uh-huh.
So it popped out, and immediately my mouth was like full of a mixture of blood and pus or whatever it was, saliva and blood. And so I like went to spit, and it was just like, just red and white.
Gnarly.
Yeah. Real Canadian flag situation. And so that was the first time I had it. And then it kind of went away because of the antibiotics, and I was like, cool. And then it came back, and they're like, well, this seems like this is just going to keep happening. So why don't we just remove the salivary gland itself? So there's it's just a normal surgery. They put me under, they cut a hole in my neck, they take out the salivary gland, stitch me back up, which is what they did. I went under, got it removed, I remember waking up and from the surgery, and they were talking to me about whatever it was, and it went well and all that and everything, and that there was like a drainage tube in my neck that they had put in, and they were going to change the bandage because it had been a couple hours, and then put a new bandage on, but not put the tube back in. But the hole for the tube would close up after they put the new bandage on. And so what they did was they took the bandage off my neck and ripped it, and the drainage tube was there for drainage. And so it was doing its job of draining all of the gross stuff out from the wound in my neck, but also it kind of it turned it into like a fire hose when they went to rip it off, and just kind of real blood splattery sprayed just in an arc just forward in front of me. So everything in front of me got covered with whatever it was that was draining from my neck. And I was like, oh, that's so gross. I want to see it. So I jumped up out of bed and I went up to a mirror and I went to look at the drainage hole in my neck and anything coming out. And that's the last thing I remember, because then I passed out. I was like, oh, no. Rad. And then I just went out. Now, all of that is to say that Frey's syndrome is apparently when they fuck up while doing that surgery and accidentally like combine your sweat gland and your salivary gland as they're like putting everything back in order in there. So what happens when I eat something that would normally make me salivate is my fucking face sweats a lot.
Huh.
Like, you know how you like wet mouth? Like, it's like wet mouth, and like that amount of wet is also just happening on my face. So over the years, I've just been like, I cannot deal with spicy food because it just makes me do this all the time. And it's really like, it's just uncomfortable to go out and eat somewhere or be eating something spicy. And then like everyone else is like, ooh, it's hot. Ooh, it's kind of hot. Ooh, my eyes watering. And then I'm just sitting there like, my entire head is just dripping. Like, it's that Key and Peele where the guy's lying or whatever, and it's just all coming down. It's basically that.
So, the first thing I gotta ask, where did this surgery take place? Where were you?
This is in Ohio. This was definitely, I think, probably Bryan, right? Like, I don't think I went out of state.
Okay, perfect. Just making sure. We both had a terrible experience there.
Oh, yeah. Yes. We'll get to that in a second.
I mean, I had only good experiences there, but
okay.
You'll balance it out. You're going to be the countersink
the
on
1
the other
in 3.
side.
But I mean, nobody's gonna like brag about a good hospital experience. Like, it still sucked.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize this for years, because I just thought like, okay, well, I just can't handle spicy food, so I stopped eating spicy food. I also don't like things that are sour because it has the same effect. And then it's sort of like all of these things like in a row. It's just like, well, wait a minute. If my face does this for like just acidic things, like lemonade, it will make it happen also, because I'll just be like, if something's too acidic, obviously that triggers your salivary glands, right? Mm-hmm. And so that also triggers my face sweat. And I was like, well, why the fuck is this also happening? Like, this isn't spicy. Like, what the fuck is the problem with this? And so eventually we looked up like the actual symptoms I had, not just white kid don't like spicy.
That's where you started.
And then that's where we started. And then we were just like, oh, this is a thing. Like, did you ever have like a surgery? And I was like, yeah, I had a surgery on my salivary gland. I'm like, yep, that would be it. Apparently there's things you can do about it, and I need to look into them. But I do need to, like, I'm gonna have to like rebuild my tolerances from like the ground up, or maybe I just dive right into the 1 chip challenge. Once I'm done.
Yes.
It's like a victory lap.
Well, I mean, if you do that, I feel like you'll know immediately. You know, you either made it or you didn't. That's crazy though, because
I mean, I'm excited for that journey either way.
It's crazy because I recall a lot of things about us growing up, but I do not recall like spicy food.
Ian's wet mouth.
That was like one thing I don't ever remember, because we did a lot of dumb stuff, but spicy food was never one of them.
For sure. Right. Like, I wouldn't put, depending on when, I used to even put hot sauce on my road burritos before I would eat them,
I mean, I remember like sriracha, but I mean, is sriracha like spicy? You know.
Depends on who you talk to.
I will say
According to
for
my
Ian,
face.
yes.
If you ask my face, yes.
Hmm.
But yeah, because it's just so uncomfortable. Like my problem with it was like my like up into like my hairline and stuff. It just would just start sweating. Like anywhere where sweat glands are in my face would just, because they're tied to when I salivate apparently, would also just start going, and it just became uncomfortable. So that I just avoided all kinds of spice for years. And then so now John jokes that I just like chicken and water.
They are your two favorite flavors. I do
Listen,
remember when we went to the.
God damn it!
Yep.
Go ahead.
Just because when we go to the seafood boil place and I don't like seafood, the only things they have that aren't seafood were chicken with none of the spices on it, and then like half ears of corn.
You did just have a bag of boiled chicken with no flavor at all, and corn.
And it wasn't great. I didn't enjoy it. But it's where everyone else wanted to go, so I put on my plastic gloves, my plastic bib like everyone else.
And just dove into that wet chicken.
That wet, not spicy chicken. It sounds so gross.
Oh man,
it sounds worse than the surgery. A bag of wet, flavorless chicken.
I feel like that's on them for letting me do it, really.
I mean, yeah, at some point they have to take some responsibility.
Like, you served this. It's not me.
God, it's like the time that Curtis ordered what was it, vodka and Coke or something like that at Grand Con, I think. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Our friend Curtis had ordered a vodka and Coke, and the waiter was like, "Well, vodka?" And
Well,
Ian was
no,
like,
he had left. So he had ordered vodka and Coke. The rest of us had put in our orders. The guy left, and then like a couple minutes came back and just asked Curtis, "You mean well vodka? Like just well? Like just well vodka?" And he's like, yeah, just well vodka. I don't want, and then walked off again. And that's where a misunderstanding happened. Because what Curtis thought that meant was, yes, just well vodka and Coke. But what that person heard was, just give me a pint glass filled to the top with well vodka and nothing else.
it was a tall Coke glass of just.
What was
well
the cost
vodka.
on that drink?
$5.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's means well vodka, really.
I mean,
They gave him a hell
that's
of a
not
deal.
bad. Yeah, I mean, now all he has to do is just order the Coke.
That's what he
My
proceeded
man.
to do.
yeah. He tried, though. I mean, to his credit, he did try just straight well vodka, and he's like, nope, can't do this.
That is a thing, too. Like, I have a friend who, he'll drink room temperature gin. Just room temperature gin.
Oh. Does he hate himself?
What temperature is gin supposed to be?
Great question. I don't know. Not a gin person myself.
Whatever temperature it is in the trash can.
Ooh.
But I have this memory of ordering drinks and then bringing him like a glass of gin, and he's like, "Ooh, this is cold. Do you have any at room temperature?"
Would he answer it real? Would he order it real?
microwave
I'm
for a
just like sitting here like, well, if you just let it fucking sit for a little bit, like, well, it'll get there.
Would he order it James Bond style and like saunter up to the bar and be like, "Gin, tepid."
No. No.
Gin, Luke.
He's into death metal and room
my name's
metal
Mark.
or room temperature gin.
So, Ian, you've never had gin before?
I don't have strong memories of having gin ever.
Oh, you'd have memories. Have you ever thought to yourself,
Okay.
man, I wonder what a liquid Christmas tree tastes like?
I mean, I do now.
Well, then you got to pour yourself a nice big gin.
All right, so one chip challenge, gin chaser. Got it.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is what
Get
year?
that
is
Ryan
it?
Reynolds Aviator gin.
We're making bad
What
decisions
year?
like it's 2007.
We're making bad decisions like one hangover doesn't fuck us up for a week now.
Yeah. Oh, what other horrible... So, there was another convention. I think it wasn't Unpub. Was it Origins maybe? Where Curtis was making drinks for everybody. And he decided, he's like, John, you want me to make you something? I was like, yeah, that sounds great. And he took a banana, peeled it, put it into a tall glass, looked for a muddler, gave up, and just used another banana to muddle it. and then poured a whole bunch of vodka in it and gently stirred it with the banana that he used as a muddler, and then served it to me as the angry Grodd.
Yeah, with the banana as a garnish. That same banana.
Yeah.
A beat to hell banana on the one end.
Now, have you ever had mashed banana before?
I mean, yeah.
It's got a real unique consistency. About like slime. Yeah, so just imagine trying to down a glass of that with vodka mixed in. And it wasn't like top shelf vodka by any means.
No, it was mixing vodka, but at that point, this is an Origins where there was a room that could fit comfortably 4 people, and we had like 9.
Ugh. Yeah.
And so, by this point, there was no mixer left for anything. There was just vodka. And banana.
Just a banana muddler.
Yeah, I think that's all we had in the room. Because I think Brian was mixing like really nice drinks and not offering them to anyone else. So Curtis was like, "Do you want me to make drinks?" And I was like, "Sure."
I made a mistake.
Yeah, Brian was like, "I brought this stuff for me, and I'm going to make it for me."
Wow.
But food mistakes was last episode's topic, right? Last week?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is more drink mistakes.
I have to remember all the way back to last week when we recorded.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, 2 weeks ago if we're going by when these release.
Yeah. Exactly. That. Not back to back.
Boy, how about that 7th episode of Bad Assets? Pretty cool, right?
Dang. Oh, it's so good.
All this stuff that happened there. Ooh, crazy.
Yeah. I can't believe what happened to your computer a second time.
Don't you put that evil eye. I would say let's dive.
Boy, that She-Hulk finale.
I would say let's dive into bad drinking mistakes, but there's so many different ways that can go. And I'm not really a big drinker, so I'd just be sitting here listening on. Yeah.
I'm not a big drinker, but every time it ends up being very exciting. And I make bad mistakes.
I've been in areas where there was a lot of drinking, and I was drinking, but I never got just completely... I've seen my friends get blackout drunk. That's never happened to me. So...
It's only happened to me a couple times, and all 3 of them were amazing. I mean, not actually amazing for anybody else involved, just for me. So the first time was at my ex-brother-in-law's bachelor party. We went to, I believe he chose Hooters for supper. And I thought to myself, this is a wonderful opportunity to try oysters for the first time.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, and I really dove in. I was like, I would like the raw oyster appetizer and a bucket of steamed oysters as my meal. I'm going to try them 2 ways. And like, just keep the beers coming. So we had a bunch of food, and then we went and played laser tag. And I had a bucket of half-cooked and half-raw oysters in my gut and a bunch of beer. And I threw that up all over the laser tag place in a spectacular fashion. And it was directly after we ate. And then we went back to his apartment and played card games. And we didn't eat any supper. Like, we had that lunch and then no supper, except he had like bags of Twizzlers. So I ate like just solid Twizzlers the rest of the night. And after everyone left, I had gotten them a couple of bottles of alcohol for gifts. And I was like, do you want to drink these? So we, between the 2 of us, drank an entire bottle of Golden Schlager. And I think an entire bottle of like peppermint schnapps. Or some kind of just horrible schnapps.
This combination.
Yeah.
Johnny, I got to say you're bad at gifts.
Golden Schlager looked fancy. It had gold in it. I was like, this is cool. What a nice
It
gift.
cuts the throat going down.
So we drank all of that, and I like passed out on the couch, and I woke up like 3 hours later, and I was like, oh God, I'm gonna throw up again. And I started to walk towards the bathroom, and I started to throw up, and I had the genius idea of just covering my mouth as hard as I could. And what that did is, as I stumbled to the bathroom, I was like, oh, I'm catching all this. Great. I woke up the next morning. There was a trail of Goldflex and Twizzler remains from the couch to the bathroom on the ceiling.
Because when you cover your mouth, it's like putting your thumb over the end of a garden hose. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's exactly what it was like.
And, increases the pressure.
Yeah, I just spewed a trail of it. And then the other 2 times aren't much better, but one of them I did have the pleasure of meeting Ian in the bathroom at the Christmas party.
Yeah, that's one way you could phrase that, I guess.
So Ian, why don't you talk about our first time meeting that I didn't remember until like 3 years later when we discovered that was you.
Yeah. Yeah, so originally, John and I assumed that we had met during a gaming event, it was like a 24-hour event or something like a weekend thing at our local game shop. That's not true. We did meet there, but that wasn't the first time we met. The first time we met was at our office Christmas party for the factory that we both worked at. And we had... Obviously, it's a Christmas party, so you drink and you make fun of other people and you hang out with people that you kind of like. And sometimes you go to the bathroom and you have to pee. And so all of those things were happening. And it
was a very cheap bar. It's a very, very cheap, buy as much booze as you want for like $2 a glass.
Yeah. Yeah, so you could just be like, here's $5, give me 3 drinks, right? And that was just kind of how that went. So I'd been drinking a lot, my friend had been drinking a lot. We were both like, oh, well, we're already over here by the bathroom, let's just go to the bathroom before we go to get more drinks. And my friend always liked to tell these just jokes, just general jokes, some off color, but that's what you get from factory workers, really. And there was another person in the bathroom already using the bathroom, so we went, but my friend has just there's no decorum at this point, right? He is just telling jokes no one's I'm the only person there, so he's just talking we're the only 2 people in the room and just telling these jokes we were before. And there was another person in that room, and that person ended up being John.
And I was delighted because he told a joke that I had the perfect counter joke for lined up. And I mean, unfortunately, it's a problematic joke, and I won't repeat it, and I regret telling it. But I thought it was such an awesome coincidence that somebody was telling an off-color joke that I knew a very similar one for. So I got to rock that one off immediately. And I think we discovered it because you were telling the story about the time somebody blasted into the bathroom mid-joke and then proceeded to tell a follow-up joke immediately after that. And I was like, that person was me.
Yeah, we were like, oh, I cannot believe this. Just the stars aligned somehow, and I don't know if it was a good way, but person A tells joke to me I'm the only person there, and then person B is immediately follows up with second joke on the exact same obscure topic at a Christmas party.
Nice.
It was a Christmas miracle.
Yeah, so that's when we found out that's how we actually met. But neither of us had a strong recognition of that.
No memory whatsoever of that event after that. And then the last time, and this is a good counter story for your story earlier. I was going to my ex's Christmas party at her work, and I had worked that day, and I had experienced my first ever bloody nose. Never had one before in my life, and I had no idea how to deal with it correctly. So I did the rookie mistake of every time it would start to bleed, which was almost all day at work long, I would just tilt my head back and plug my nose. And I was like, great, it's not bleeding anymore. This is fantastic. And
the system will never fail.
Yeah. I was like, this is great. And then we went to the Christmas party, and she was working at a lawyer's office. So they had a completely open bar with like very expensive whiskeys, as much as you could drink. And I indulged that. I was like, great, a lawyer's paying for me to drink whiskey. Fantastic. So I drank a very, very fair amount of whiskey. And we're on the drive home, and we pull into the parking lot, and I'm too drunk to get out of the van. And at the party, my bloody nose had started again. So I like disappeared into the bathroom to wait it out. And I proceed to throw up what I can describe as just a whole lot of whiskey and blood clots, because all the blood had ran down my throat into my stomach and just sat there. And I just like, it looked like a horror movie. Like there was just blood everywhere in the van and vomit, and it smelled like whiskey.
Brutal.
Yeah, it was horrible.
God, I don't know if it's still the right time, if it's the right time to do another drinking story, but it did. Some of your stories reminded me, and this is also a game that I beat story. It's like a twofer.
Oh, so it's one of the 5 games that you've actually beaten?
Yeah, it's one of the 5 games that I've actually beaten 100 all the way through. Definitely not 100% because I was drunk for most of it. But it was the first time I ever threw up from drinking, and it was just like on a Saturday or whatever. I had gotten like just Kamchatka vodka.
Mm-hmm.
It comes in a jug. It's plastic and big. One of those, and a jug of orange juice, and then an entire thing of cheese balls. The tub of cheese balls.
Why do we do this to ourselves? We pick the worst things, and we're like, "Yep."
Like,
So
you
it's a
mean
very- it was
the
very
big
orange day.
plastic tub with the
Yes.
pop off
Yeah.
cap
Yep.
with a mouth that's definitely wide enough to fit 2
A
fists.
literal handle of vodka. Yes.
I'm tracking.
So my plan was to play this new game that I had just heard about, had just come out, and I had just gotten, and I was very excited for. And 2 of my friends were gonna also just hang out. Like I had this like folding table or whatever. I was sitting on my bed. They were sitting at the folding table. We were all just hanging out. I was playing this game. We were drinking. And one of those friends was actually Davey, who plays Hermes in Bad Assets. I don't know if he remembers this part of the story or not, but I don't know if he remembers this day, but he was definitely there. I think the other one was our mutual friend Kyle. I think that was the 3 people who were the 3 of us. So we were drinking, eating cheese balls, and by the end of the night, all of those were gone. Like every single one of those bottles was empty. Empty jug of orange juice, empty jug of vodka, empty barrel of cheese balls. And I was very drunk. I don't really remember the end of the game. Oh, but did I say the name of the game?
Mm-mm.
It was Heavy Rain.
Oh, okay.
So in one day, I played through the entirety of Heavy Rain while drinking heavily and eating cheese balls. And it has some the quick time events and all that, and I just kept getting progressively worse
They
as the
became
game went
slow
on.
time events.
I do remember. Yeah, it was definitely. They don't get it on the first try, maybe on the second kind of events. And these complicated button presses and stuff. You got to hold down X, so you can hold down R2, and then you also have to hold down L1 while you're doing it to climb through this like barbed wire cage or whatever it was, and save Sean, your son.
Sean!
I don't have a lot of memories of the end of that game. I just remember I do remember beating it. I got the achievement, and then I went to bed. My friends were still hanging out because they were just. I was like, yeah, feel free to hang out. I'm just gonna pass out. Like I'm done. Apparently, about an hour went by, and then I wake up suddenly, and I have no idea what this feeling is that I'm feeling. Like, I'm just very new to me. Never felt this sensation before. And all of a sudden, I'm like, why am I awake? And halfway through that word, I just projectile vomit orange. Just down and out. All over my front, all over the bed in which I was laying. And just everything that was in is now out. And my 2 friends that were there were like, well, time to go. And I didn't know what to do, so I rolled up all of my bedding and pushed it off the bed and then I just went back to sleep.
That's what you
That's
got
what
to
you do.
Well,
But I had never thrown up from drinking before, so when I woke up, I was like, "This is weird. Why am I awake?" Ugh.
that's Haramis Flay Gillock if I'd ever heard him. Yes. He's like, no, sir. Turns around and leaves.
Someone had some bad stew.
Uh-huh.
Got a bad batch of cheese balls and vodka.
It's always orange stuff.
Yeah, it was
It's
very
always orange stuff.
Yeah.
I can think of at least one other instance where somebody threw up orange. That was at a...
It's a totally normal color to throw
Yeah.
up.
Apparently. Yeah. That story is not nearly as fun. They just threw up orange all over their black bedspread, and it was just like, it's fucking everywhere. I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Oh shit, you were there, Jay. No, I now remember. No, so I guess I've beaten. I didn't platinum it, but you know, it's a 5th game that I beat. I think it was good. I don't know. I didn't like the twist.
I
never
liked a
finished
lot
it.
of it going, like, as it was going. Like, there's a lot of great things that were happening as it was going. And then I'm really drawing a blank at the end. Because I remember the twist. Huh.
Yeah, it just like it takes place in like it's like abandoned whatever, and you're just chasing him down, and you have to save your son, and he's under this thing, and it's like a timed thing, and it's all this machine equipment and everything.
That's why it's called Heavy Rain. Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I started playing one of the other David Cage games, Detroit, and I got those same feelings, and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna remember this. I don't know if this is gonna. I think there's pieces of it that are gonna be memorable.
Yeah, I got there with the Elliot Page game. I don't remember the name.
Beyond Two Souls.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Had Willem Dafoe to this day, or maybe I changed it. I think it's Spiderman now. But the entire PS3, PS4 era, my gamer picture was Willem Dafoe from that game. Not because of the quality of the game, but just because it could be Willem Dafoe. So why wouldn't you put it as Willem Dafoe?
I haven't really thought about that in a while.
Willem Dafoe?
That too. No, I think about him a lot. No, I haven't changed my like PlayStation image, character, avatar in a really long time. I think it's been Deadpool since PS3.
When I got the
Set it and forget it.
When I got PS5, they had all the fancy new ones, so I was like, sure, I'll be a Spiderman. Miles Morales Spiderman specifically.
I think I had Magneto before
The
that.
best one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Good times. I still...
Got any non
I don't have anything to really contribute.
Do you have any just bro stories about your wet or dry mouth?
Oh yeah, we never got to your hospital experience.
Oh, mine was life or death though. I don't know if that's nearly as fun.
Yeah, just throw some color in there; it'll be fine.
I'm like, how do I?
Yeah, just think of a funny. Put in a funny twist at the end.
How do I make this funny? Well, starting at graduation from our tech school, previous episode is the one where Ian said, they allowed him to walk at the behest of some. At the behest of some. That literally after that got in a car and was driving home, and someone ran a stop sign. Car accident.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, it was fine though. As far as a car accident in the middle of nowhere, getting hit at like one car going like 50 and the other one going 60 and T-boned. Probably as good as it can be. Walked away from it. Man, if that happened these days, I just would have been just down for the other half of my life.
Yeah, my body hurts.
Exactly. But no, I remember just getting straight out of the car, and my uncle was a volunteer firefighter, so I kind of knew some of the things to do to make sure that, okay, there's not a fire that started. Okay, I know how to stop that, and did some of those like little quick things or whatever.
That's it. Not a fire? Cool. That's the end of my knowledge.
And the guy in the other car was kind of beat up. So, myself and everyone else in the car fared very well in comparison. But they're like, do you want to be checked out? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, absolutely not. I'm fine. Nothing hurts. But then it was probably a couple weeks later. I had a big day planned. I was going to go do like a morning skate at the skate park, and then I had a few other things with friends that I was going to do. I got the skating out of the way, met up with some of the friends, and then I was like, oh, I'm not feeling that great. Went home, and it was right around that time I started throwing up black, and I was like, hey, that's bad, huh?
Also not a great color.
Terrible color for vomit. Maybe the worst color for vomit.
I think we got to start ranking these vomit colors, because I don't know which one's good, but I guess we know which ones are bad.
Right. And the guy I was living with was like, oh yeah, no, that's real bad. So ended up going to the same hospital that Ian mentioned that he had went to. And they're like, no, we don't know what's wrong with him. No idea. It turns out after... What time did I go in? It was kind of middle of the night, and it was probably like 11 or 12. It wasn't until 9 the next morning that they're like, oh, it's appendicitis. Yeah. Yep. So that, because of that long wait, they go, oh, it's appendicitis because my appendix burst. And they're like, that's what it is. Mm-hmm. I'll be damned. So that led...
Like I was feeling a bit appendix bursty.
Yeah. That led to about a month-long hospital stay where they're trying to get all of this out. What's now in there out. They did not do a good job, by the way. They did not get all of that, which led to another couple week stay at another hospital because I was poisoning myself from the inside out. Oh, with the return of the black vomit. As you do.
No.
Right?
The herald, if you will.
Yeah. I don't know how to spin that in a real funny light.
Well, you didn't die, so that,
right. That's true.
Take that,
That's
death.
True. I mean, I feel like it just needs a good punch on.
It's missing something.
We can workshop it.
A couple episodes. We'll come back to it, and I'll be like, "Oh yeah." It's gonna be like,
"Hey, I found a good end for my appendix."
It's like, "Oh, John, in episode 2, you had a really good idea for a comedy, and I don't remember anything else about it. Go."
Yep.
Rebooting the Beverly Hillbillies is a great idea, though.
I think it's fantastic. I want to see it on Cartoon Network. I want to see them just take the piss out of it.
And one of them is going to have their appendix burst, and that's where we can really dive into the comedy, right?
Ooh, which one, though?
So were you saying that, your appendix had burst because of the car accident? Or was this just
I think it was kind of like a...
shit rolls downhill
Yeah, I think it was like, as far as I'm concerned, kind of a related instance. It was very, very soon after. And, I mean, I don't know if I would go as far as, being healthy. I mean, I just kind of assumed that those kind of things were maybe somehow connected. I don't know. I didn't get any, like I said, checked out after the car accident. It was weeks.
If this was Final Destination, then it definitely was related, right? If this is a Final Destination movie, then it's you missed me twice. And the twist ending is you're getting on a plane to what's his face from the first movie is on, and you're like, uh-oh.
That was Party of 5.
Oh, yeah. Why are those kids yelling and getting thrown off the plane? Oh, well, time to buckle up.
So I briefly dated someone, and they're like, hey, do you want to watch a movie? And I was like, sure. And they're like, how about Final Destination 4? And I was like, well, I've only seen the first one. She's like, don't worry, this is the best one in the series.
That doesn't help me.
No, 4 is the 3D one, right?
Yeah. I think so. I did not watch it in 3D.
No, that was wrong. That was incorrect.
All that's matching up.
Yeah, turns out it was not fun. I did not enjoy that. I think that was the last date that we had.
Was it the racetrack one?
I tried to block most of it out of my memory.
Yeah, no,
they're all bad. I don't know if there's...
Well, yeah.
I mean, the first one was neat and had some ideas that it did.
The last one I really liked because it did like a full circle moment, which was very cool. Like the twist in the last one. You know what? I'm not going to spoil some things. I'm not going to spoil Dexter for you, but I will fucking spoil the Final Destination movies.
Final Destination 8.
Well, no, there's only 5 of them.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, so you were almost done with the
goodness.
series, when you watched the 4th one, but unfortunately you watched the worst one. But no, 5 was this. The twist in 5 was that it took place before the first one.
Dun dun dun.
Oh yeah, didn't Dead Meat do the whole
Yeah,
series?
they did kill counts of them. Yep.
Which one was the one where the kid got accordion folded by that sheet of glass? Was that too? God, that was fucking terrible, wasn't it?
Yeah. He's like, I'm gonna go kick these fucking pigeons. The pigeon's just like, oh, fuck you.
Damn.
But yeah, no, the twist in 5 was that at the end of the movie, they like the people who get away, right? Because there's always the people who get away are like, great, let's get on this plane and go to this thing. And that's exactly what I said earlier was happening. They're just like, some kids are yelling about something, and we're like, what are those kids yelling about? And it's like, I don't know, time to buckle in. And those were the kids from the first movie who were getting thrown off the plane that's about to fly up in the air and explode.
Oh, good twist.
So in that bombshell, do you think we should end?
I mean, the only other...
Yeah, I mean, now that you've ruined that seminal classic for people.
Go watch the kill counts. That's all you need.
Yeah. That's all. That's the way I watch every movie now. I just don't even watch real movies. I just watch YouTube videos of the movies.
Nah, I mean, I still watch real movies. They're not great. I watch them.
See, that's why I don't watch them, because a lot of them are not great anymore. I mean, a lot of them were not great before too, but I had more time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I remember going to Ian. I think it was us and a mutual friend. We went like back to back. We like exit a movie, and then we're just like, "Hey, this one's playing too. Do you want to go see it?" Like, yeah, sure. Let's go back in.
Oh yeah. Get back in line. Get the tickets. Yep.
There's at least 2 or 3 movies. I think there was a Resident Evil movie in there. And boy, did I hate those movies.
Fuck. Unfortunately, yeah. Fuck it. Apparently, we all hated those movies, and we all went and watched them anyway.
Yeah.
They have the worst sunk cost fallacy for franchises.
They were not good movies.
Silent Hill did a good job, though. Well, I think the first 2 were pretty good.
There was more than one?
Yeah. I think there might have been a third one
that's
as
news to me.
well. I'd have to look that up. So it could be potentially all of them. Pretty decent.
The only thing I remember about the Silent Hill movie is Pyramid Head being like, fuck your skin. And
Oh, yeah. We just removed that one chick's skin on the church steps.
yeah. That's rough. It's a rough way to go.
I remember
It's how
I remember
wanna
that
go.
dude from the bathroom right after the siren went off the first time, and then he came out and he was like all contorted and like crab walking, and he was like licking really weird. I remember that scene too. Those are the 2 that really stick out. Yeah.
Yeah. I got nothing. I got nothing else. Really petering here at the end. Big finish.
Big finish. We need that punchline. Save us.
Well, we'll go ahead and upload the large the glandstone removal extraction video that John you put in here, just to horrify everyone.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good send off.
Yeah, John, go watch that again so we can get more audio of you vomiting.
I'm gonna pass. I don't want everyone to do that again.
All right. Well, on that sad note, I guess we have to end. Thanks again for listening to us on Funbalanced. If you didn't know, there is a YouTube version of this show. YouTube Funbalanced. Just find it. It's there. We don't have a custom URL yet. .com.
.was.
Also find us on Twitter to show us your gland removal surgeries. Just go ahead and send us there at Funbalanced. And we will see you in 2 weeks. Hopefully you have all of your body parts still when that happens. And your skin.
Skin's important.
Yeah. Keep your skin.
I swear, if any of these stories come from the Bryan Hospital, I'm going to be so mad.